I'm Judy Shaw for NYC Floor Talk. Joining me today is Marcelo Bacci. He is CFO at Suzano. Marcelo, always great to see you. Thanks for joining me today.
It's a pleasure for me. Great to see you again.
Now, a quick note to our viewers, this interview is for informational purposes only. The NYSC doesn't recommend any investments or investment strategies. All right, so Marcelo, tell me, how is Suzano taking action on the critical issues of deforestation and biodiversity loss in Brazil?
You know, Judy, Suzano is a company that plays in the metro capital area. We depend on our forestry activity, which is where our main competitiveness advantage lies. And therefore, this is very important for us. We are already 98 years old, so this means that we take sustainability very seriously because we have to be continuously competitive. We have a zero deforestation policy, which is something very important. We only grow into areas that have been already enterprised. And normally, when we go and plant new forests, we are replacing pasture land, and therefore bringing forests that will capture and sequestrate much more carbon than what had before over there. So we are one of the few sectors in the world where the growth brings a positive contribution to the climate. We absorb more carbon in our forests than what we emit in our logistics and industrial operations. And in relation to biodiversity, is something that became more and more important more recently. We understand that the world faces a crisis of biodiversity, and what we found we could do that can have a relevant impact is a plan that we have to link about 500,000 hectares of pieces of land that are separated today. We are creating a partnership with the landowners in the regions, links between the different pieces of land to make sure that the animals can flow and the biodiversity in general can keep its continuity from one piece of land to the other. So, this is something that we believe is very important for the society and for the world.
Okay, so now Suzano claims to be a climate positive business. What exactly does this mean, and is it good enough?
It means that, whenever we plant a new forest for a new activity that will depend on the trees and the wood for the final product to be produced, we are increasing the capture of the sequestration of carbon from the atmosphere, and we're fixing this carbon in the forest. And the new forest, the growing forest, captures and sequestrates more carbon than a standing tree, just because it's growing and it's consuming more from the atmosphere. So, and the amount of carbon that we sequestrate is by far larger than what we emit in our operations. Of course, we emit carbon as well in industrial operations and the transportation and all those things. But we have a net positive effect, and we have a goal to sequestrate net 40 million tons of carbon in the next 10 years. And we are going very well in that direction. So that's why we believe we are a climate positive company.
All right, and finally, Marcelo, as a business operating in some of Brazil's poorest rural areas, how are you addressing the social issues related to poverty?
Yeah, that's a great question, Judy. Suzano is present in more than 200 municipalities in Brazil, and most of them are in very poor areas. 56 of them are what we consider high priority in terms of income generation. What we're trying to do is to solve the short-term problem and create the conditions in the long run for the problem to reduce in these different regions. So we are creating income generation programs like production of honey in our forests, where the community that lives there can sell. Today, actually, it's already an important part of the honey production in Brazil, which is done in that particular way. And at the same time, we are working in enhancing the quality and the quantity available to that population of education, the number of schools, and also the quality of the schools, so that in the future these communities can be sustainable in a way that they can generate their own income without our help. But we are in a situation in Brazil and in most of the emerging markets where the long-term solution again is not enough. We have to have some short-term impact, and that's why we have this income generation program and also the long-term solution. Our goal is by 2030 to have taken out of the poverty line 200,000 people. And we are going very well in that direction. Of course, this is still has a lot to be done, but we are positive that we can reach that goal.
All right. Well, Marcelo, wonderful to talk with you. Thank you so much for joining me on NYSE Floor Talk.
Thank you for the opportunity again, Julie.